Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to the US IndyCar League Season 12, Race 12 of 12, here from the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway in good old Indianapolis, Indiana, kind of the crown jewel, the centerpiece of the series, and so great to have you along with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. As always, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and I'll be calling all the action today. We watch on here the Care Camps 250. We'll get a special chance to talk about the Care Camps organization here in a little bit. Very special organization down in Florida, doing a lot for cancer surviving kids and kids suffering with cancer at the moment, and their families as well. So let's go ahead and jump down trackside, see if we can see what's happening and who is out there. Well, we got Jason Lowe. That may be just a temporary livery. We'll see if we can get that sorted out here in a minute. He's out on track. And of course, we do have the Care Camps machine itself with Howard Livingston behind the wheel, number 13. It's going to be trying to make an attempt to, of course, get on that podium and perhaps get a win for the kids down there in Florida at Care Camps today. So we look for that. Watch for him to complete his first lap here at the official speedway. It's so awesome to be back here in Indiana. Famous song, of course, which I won't sing for you at the moment, but so great to be back here this week. And of course, this is a big week, actually, not just for the US IndyCar League, but the Fixed Series, the official NTT IndyCar Fixed Series, as well as the Open Series, both at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this week. So US IndyCar League getting to crown the week here on Sunday with their race as well, and it's always special to come back here. So Howard just finishing up his second lap, and good enough for fifth so far, and that's good enough for us, because that's going to give him a starting chance here so far today, be able to go after that podium position or possibly a win here and be able to drink the milk afterwards. That's what it's all about, right? So here's Will Stearns, driver that is unfortunately losing control just as he appears on camera. But what a spin there, and great car control from Will as he makes it around. Here's Graham Bunyan, who has damaged his car in qualifying. That is an interesting moment. We'll have to take a look at that in a second. Here's Ryan Bowles. So Graham Bunyan's first lap was good enough for second. Jason Lowe currently sitting on provisional pole. Ryan Bowles now in third place and going for more here on his second lap. We also have Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh, out there on track as well. He just finished his second lap, good enough for 8th. Less than 3/10 off of that pole position set so far by Jason Lowe at 39.29. So we also have Iñigo Mardones on track at the moment, and Bowles managed to put it third there. Mardones spinning out as well, so quite a few drivers having an issue. Here goes Dan Ensch out, a driver that we've been talking about all season. He's been it's been a roller coaster season for Dan. It hasn't been the dream season that he had hoped maybe it might be this season. But racing with the alls.org sponsorship on it each and every week, and Spark VR trying to bring awareness to the Alzheimer's Association. And in doing that, right now he puts himself into 5th. So as you can see in the running order there, also David Strid, now last week's winner, just completing his final, I'm sorry, not last week's winner. What was I saying? 2 weeks ago's winner, David Strid, here at Indianapolis, now going second. And so that will put Graham Bunyan, he's still sitting there. So let's go take a look at Graham Bunyan's incident. Oh. Well, there, all of our notes from that have dropped away, so we won't be able to do that for a moment. But let's go ahead and take a look at the final results. It's a very interesting thing that we'll have to talk to our software people about. All of a sudden, we don't have access to the replays from the previous session. So Jason Lowe there takes the pole. What a great performance from Lowe. Again, it's been a rock and roll. It's always a rock and roll season for Jason Lowe, but it's been a roller coaster season for Lowe as well as Dan Ensch and a number of these drivers who have been looking for maybe a little bit more speed out of their cars this season and consistency. But this is exactly where Lowe would want to be starting there in right on pole position. Now, of course, those of you who are fans of IndyCar are very familiar that, well, it's not always about taking pole position to get you that win. And we're going to try to get... I'm going to take just a moment here and clear some stuff up on the screen. And on your screen, of course, you can see the remaining running order there. Glad to have 13 cars making the start today. Should be very special. As I mentioned, always great to come back here to the Speedway and be able to challenge the Brickyard once again and see who will end up in victory lane drinking that milk with the wreath on afterwards. We only come here once a season in the US IndyCar League, so always a great chance for these drivers to be able to do something special here at Indy, obviously on VirtualRacing.Network, and make a big splash and get a good interview afterwards. So let's go ahead and take a look at the current points as they come into this race. It's been a long one. It's been 11 races thus far, but we've had a few different winners this season. A few different pole sitters. Now, of course, this won't count Jason Lowe's recent pole and his bonus point for that. And we apologize if Jason has changed his livery. It's appearing pink for us today, fuchsia today. Perhaps he's changing his livery, getting ready for next season. But nevertheless, Jason not in his traditional blue and fuchsia colors. But Graham Bunyan is your points leader. He's your champion. David Stritt does not have a chance to make enough points in this race to do so and overtake. But I should note that Stritt had one less race this season than Graham Bunyan. So, you know, there is that factor as well, that if Stritt had been able to make all of the races, he might have actually had a chance at that. But Graham has been pretty unbeatable. You do see Howard Livingston there in third, fighting for that third place in the championship, and Jason Lowe with this pole position might have something to say about that third place. So as we fly just above the official iRacing.com blimp and get ready for today's action, we're going to send it down trackside. Get that ticker up on the screen for you so you can keep track of all the battles. And of course, this is the Care Camps 250, a special day for a special organization as they form up at the front here, and Jason Lowe gets set to lead them to the green flag. We are set for 100 laps of action here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we are green. Jason Lowe brings us to that yard of bricks across this speedway into turn one. Single file into turn one. Just a little bit further back, they were too wide through turn one, but now looking back at the front, is it David Stritt who's going to try to make an early attempt at that first place? The long back straightaway, and there's David Stritt to the inside of Jason Lowe. As they go through turn four, it's now Ryan Bowles who's making an attempt at the back of Jason Lowe, getting so close with his Dallara IR18 IndyCar. And for those of you that were with us on Thursday for the Pit Series race, it was an exciting one. We saw a lot of passing at the front, a lot of draft swapping, even though I don't think those drivers were necessarily trying to work with each other. Turned out to be a spectacular photo finish at the end. So if you haven't seen that race, go back and watch it on VirtualRacing.Network after this one. You'll love the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Indy cars. But meanwhile, at the front of this one, it's no surprise. He's won a couple of races this season. It's David Strid. Unfortunately, we've had an incident, and it's happened just off camera and not caused an incident that we could focus on here, and it's not gone yellow. We're going to take a look back. This is Howard Livingston, and it's Mike West who goes up the track, and I think just barely clips Howard Livingston, and that unfortunately takes out several of our drivers, West, Kelbaugh, and Livingston, all out of this race. And now I'm seeing a note that Ryan Bowles also involved, Graham Bunyan having an incident. What is going on? Let's go back and see if we can sort this out. Actually, we're going to jump back to the live picture so we can see what's happening on track, because we have not gone yellow. Here is David Strid currently in first place with Jason Lowe just behind. These two escape damage, but it's Will Stearns just behind, who's currently in third. James Kennedy running in fourth. Dan Ensch up to fifth, or in fifth, excuse me. Kennedy up 4 positions in fourth place. Rick Lovison up a spot from his starting position as well. Iñigo Mardones up 4 spots now. And just behind, it's Manuel Gomez Esteban. They're in 8th place. And so now let's go ahead and jump back to see if we can figure out what happened on this start. So we'll take a look at it here as we watch these cars go through the corner. And in fact, it is Mr. StickQuik Richard Kelbaugh who actually drifted up the track and got into the wall. And that appeared to collect Mike West. And you can see them going through the corner there. I'm not exactly sure how that affected Howard Livingston. We'll just back it up a little bit. We'll see if we can tell. Looked like it happened. It's very difficult to tell. We might have a better chance of seeing it from onboard here. And if I thought it might have been, but it could just be a tiny bit of netcode that caught out Howard Livingston. He might have put a little extra, my goodness, big lick there for Livingston in that Care Camps machine. Such a shame to see that car destroyed before it really even got a chance, unfortunately. But, well, we'll go back to the live picture for a moment, and then we'll go find out what happened to Graham Bunyan as part of that. This is David Strid still in the lead with Jason Lowe just behind. And Will Stearns has now dropped back to 2.75 seconds adrift. He's got James Kennedy on his tail. And Kennedy, of course, race winner in the series. Dan Ensch just behind as well. He knows his way around every single one of these tracks that the US IndyCar League is going to be competing in each and every season. He's lots of experience at IndyCars on these tracks. So, by the way, fastest lap of the race that time by Manuel Gomez Esteban, using some great drafting capability there and putting down a 40.85. So fast speeds for Esteban. Maybe Manuel is going to have something to say about this before too long. So now let's go ahead and jump back to the incident with Graham Bunyan. That seems like he just got up into the wall. Oh, and I see now there's more to this picture. So if we take a look here from onboard with Bunyan, looks like Bowles just kind of drifts up the track, and before Bunyan can even make actual contact, a little bit of net code, taking out both of these drivers. A bit of a wild ride there for Bunyan, and then that is what also caught out Bowles, who spun and hit the inside wall and doing some grass clipping there for the Speedway, unfortunately. A difficult start to this one, and it's very interesting that it has gone... that it was not a totally clean start, because this series, as you know by now, watching so many races here in the US IndyCar League, that it's traditionally very, very, very clean. The setup today supplied by David Strid, as many of the setups have been over the course of the season. And we do expect pit stops here, laps 20 to 24. Thank you to Dan Ensch for that information. But, you know, Strid's not known for making difficult setups necessarily, but that being said, the Speedway is a enigma. You know, it's they've tried to build cars very similar, or tracks very similar to this, of course, with the Ontario Motor Speedway and Homestead in Florida originally, as you watch James Kennedy and Will Stearns changing positions and racing each other very hard here. Will Stearns in the red, black, and white car now passing to the inside of James Kennedy. But this configuration of the four somewhat 90-degree corners, or close to 90-degree corners, is pretty unique in the end, and the banking certainly is. And even though they built those fairly close approximations of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at those other places, nothing has ever retained the same characteristics of this track. It always continues to present a unique challenge to the Indy cars, even in 2021. So here we are looking at Kennedy and Stearns fighting it out for third and fourth. Both of these drivers now up several positions from where they started because of an incident early on involving Brian Bowles and Graham Bunyan, moving up these couple of drivers, and then Howard Livingston having an incident getting collected by Richard Kelbaugh and Mike West. So we're watching on here for this race for third spot, the final podium position for today's race. And as you can see, they are starting to drop back 4 seconds now adrift of that lead 2 group. So will it be Strid and Lowe for approximately 87 more laps together? Or will these drivers start to work with each other and try and draft swap and get their way back up to the front group? That is the question. Hope you're enjoying this one live in 4K ultra high definition. Try to bring you all of the sights and sounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the US IndyCar League here in the end of season 12. As I mentioned, although Graham Bunyan did drop out of this race, that's not going to affect his championship at all. It's already in the bag. He is the series champion. But I have to say, there have been a couple of unfortunate circumstances in the last several races for Mr. Bunyan, and it does kind of let you know that he is human after all, and sometimes does get caught up in incidents, despite the fact that he frequently puts in practically perfect performances every single week, and that's how he got all those points to begin with. But we are seeing that Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh, is now officially out of the race, as is Mike West, who continues to sit on pit lane, Ryan Bowles, Graham Bunyan, and actually now we have a note that, yes, in fact, there he is. He's back out there. They got that thing put back together, and, well, Livingston is quite a few laps down now. He's about 7 laps down, but you have to remember, he is really fighting for third place in the championship, and that would be a great outcome for him. And so every single point out there is going to matter. He might, I don't know if Well, I'll tell you what, we can just bring it up here on the screen because I'm in charge and I can do that. There you go. Look how tight that race is. 333 to 317. Livingston and Lowe. And, you know, with how many laps down Livingston is at the moment, it's tough to say how many points he's even going to get out of this one. So, it could come down to a bonus point or two. And right now, Lowe is going to probably get bonus points for leading. Well, he got a bonus point for leading a lap. He won't at this stage. It's not looking like he's prepared to take the bonus point for leading the most laps. But there is a bonus point for fastest lap. And as we mentioned, as I take a look at their fastest lap times, let's see. So it does appear as though, is it James Kennedy? No, we've got Manuel Gomez Esteban just several 100ths faster than James Kennedy at the moment. So if somehow Livingston can get that fastest lap, it's not looking very likely though, as Livingston just did a 42.75 that time by. But we'll see whether that damage has been completely repaired and he can get back up to full speed or not. He's just circling around trying to get those points. And also, I should have mentioned, and I did not at the top of the broadcast, but part of Howard Livingston's commitment to the care camps, and of course, he not only works with them directly and has, you know, financially donated to them in the past, and continues to do so, as you see Dan Ensch getting around and Rick Lovison about to do the same. Howard is donating for every single lap that he completes here today. So that's another reason why it's super important, is you just want to get as many laps in as possible. Doesn't really matter where you finish at this point. Just want to give some more money to those kids. So if you want to, you can head on over to carecamps.org. We're going to have a special moment here in a little bit where we'll get a chance to see a little bit of information about them. But certainly if you're curious and all that they do for the cancer families and the kids that have cancer at the moment, definitely head over there and check that out. And it's just great to see. So David Strid now coming in here on lap 20, and in fact that is what we expected. Thanks to Dan Ensch for that info. Indeed, now we're seeing Will Stearns coming in. So both of these drivers were at the lead ends of their groups, and what that means, of course, is that they are burning more fuel at the front end of the group. So when they're breaking that clean air on track, it carries with it the most aero drag, and that of course causes the most fuel usage. But beyond that, the cars that are behind are lifting in the corners, as we see Jason Lowe now pitting, and it does appear as though he actually made the pit entrance this time. That's been an issue in the past. It's not easy to do, folks. If you haven't done this, if you're just watching out there on the sidelines and you haven't been an IndyCar racer or part of iRacing, as we see Kennedy, Lovison, and Gomez Esteban, our current fastest man on track. We see all of them in the pits. If you haven't done this, it is so difficult to get down to that pit speed. And so here you can see the fuel-saving master hard at work here again. He did say he was not going to be as much into the fuel save, but here's the thing. If that fuel window is 20 to 24, let's do the math. So Dan Ensch here in first place, the alls.org machine, if he can stretch to lap 24 each and every time, and he can get 4 laps of caution, 5 laps of caution, he might be able to save enough fuel that he can cut an entire stop out of this race. Now, everything would have to work out very, very well in order for that to happen. And we don't know if he can achieve that. No, in fact, he's coming in here on lap 23. So, you know, part of that is when you get left to yourself. If you can't just follow in that shadow of another car's, another car that's breaking the air in their slipstream, as we see Strid and Lowe now battling here. So if you can't stay as Lowe is right now in the slipstream of David Strid, then you can't continue to save that fuel. Yes, you can adjust inside of the cockpit. There is, of course, the cockpit controls that you can adjust. You have the anti-roll bar and the weight jacker, but you also have the ability to adjust the fuel map. And that will save you some fuel, but it is just nowhere near as much as being behind, for example, David Strid here. Now we'll listen on board Jason Lowe. And you can hear he's just lifting just ever so much, a little tiny bit of a lift in the corners. It's a little bit to set the car correctly through the corner, but there you can see him backing way out on that straightaway, and that is just to fuel save. There's no point in going up and playing this game of getting around and trying to pass each other 100 times during this race, unless your goal is to create a gap behind you, because yes, you can go faster that way, but in terms of saving fuel, if nobody's challenging you from behind, which at this point James Kennedy is now in third and 4.6 seconds back, then there's really no point of trying to pull more of a gap. And at this point, if you're Jason Lowe, you're trying to save the fuel. So back to the original point, can any of these drivers make it to the very end? At this point, it's looking, you know, with being able to only do 3 stops in this race instead of 4, looking very unlikely, and that is why you're seeing David Strid making such an aggressive race out of this one. And just now, Will Stearns shows that he's got some speed in that number 306 machine. He goes to the fastest lap of the race, a 40.66. So running behind Dan Ensch, and we'll see whether Stearns wants to get around Ensch this time and be in the front as he was. Now you can hear the total difference in RPM range and throttle application for Stearns as he blinks out for just a second there, but making a very last second lunge on Dan Ensch into turn 1, but Stearns not backing out at all, staying, you know, foot to the floor and trying to make some passes and not concerned with his fuel strategy. Here is, of course, Howard Livingston into the pits for his second stop after servicing the vehicle to fix all that damage early on. And once again, it does not appear as though... Oh, in fact, he is back running again. It's Graham Bunyan. So, defending champion Graham Bunyan back out on track. The Australian and countryman too, David Strid, and sometimes Matty Simpson when he shows up. This is an uncharacteristic race for Bunyan, getting caught up in an early incident. He usually has spidey senses that keep him out of those types of situations, but today not quite able to do that. Getting caught up with last week's winner Ryan Bowles early on and dropping out of the top of the order. So back to the front, it is David Strid, and just behind, Jason Lowe, the Floridian, who, again, we apologize if we're missing his livery or if it's not appearing correctly, but still looks good. I mean, who doesn't love a nice hot pink fuchsia car with some yellow flames on it? That's about as cool as it gets, and you gotta love that you can just do that here in iRacing. Strid, of course, is running a Tribute livery, which you can do with trading paints. and just upload that to Trading Paints or find your favorite one there. There are some commercial logos on it that we're not really supposed to be showing very closely, so we try not to. So if Mr. Strid wants some more up-close camera time next season, he's going to need to change some of those logos. But back to Jason Lowe, I mean, you can just go right into your paint shop, built right into iRacing, and set up your favorite color scheme, be able to run it on all your cars, and choose from a whole massive amount of different templates, usually somewhere 20 to 30 different templates available for each and every car in terms of getting flames on it or you know, different designs on it that will work your different color scheme in there. So, but either way, and then that the club name on the side for Florida is something that you can do quite easily, where you just configure your different sponsor options. And if you, for example, are using Fanatec or Thrustmaster peripherals, you can be able to put those on your side pod because they have a deal with iRacing, so it's all built in. And so, you know, iRacing makes it really fun and easy to customize your car, your helmet, your suit, and just get out there and race and have a great time. It's just when you get super competitive and you want to go fast, it's that age-old adage, and Jason would know this after all of his years of racing. It's, let's see, what's the old adage? How fast do you want to go? Well, how much money do you have to spend? It's really not far from that as Trading Paints decides to crash. So there you go. So perhaps Lowe will be adding some more sponsors and perhaps a new livery for season 13. We'll look forward to that. Also, some talks of some other possibilities happening in the series. We'll look forward to hopefully hearing from Jason Lowe and talking about some of the plans for season 13. But if you're looking at getting into the US IndyCar League, there is a link down in the description, and should definitely head on over to iRacing and apply to the US IndyCar League on the leagues function. There's a link right there that you can click on. And if you like Indy cars, you like racing on the service, and you've done some races so that the admins can see that you're a capable IndyCar racer, well, just click apply, and Jason Lowe will get back to you and either allow you in or tell you, hey, you got to come out and run a couple of practice sessions with us so we can make sure that you're all set to go. But either way, easy to get into the series, and we'll look forward to seeing you out there and your name up there on that scoring pylon very soon. So back to this one, we are 35 laps into the Care Camps 250 for the US IndyCar League. You're watching live here on VirtualRacing.Network, and you can see now our leader, David Strid, who took the lead from Jason Lowe, who sat on the pole for the race, took the lead very, very early on and has tried to make his stamp and say, you got to beat me if you're going to today. But either way, all these drivers really looking at, now here, as you see Jason Lowe now making a pass down to the bottom side through turn one, and a clear, decisive pass up into the front. So now Lowe wants a chance at the front. Can he break away? No, it can't really break away from the draft. It's too powerful here. However, something to consider with this fuel strategy is, although it will work out if they go 20 laps each and every time, the longer that they can go, even if it's 20 laps, 21 laps, 22 laps, all that will mean is at the end of the race, it's less laps of fuel that they will need to take on board. So if you can imagine, every single gallon of fuel that goes into these cars, of which fully fueled They have 18.5 gallon capacity tanks, but the series runs it, I believe, down at 14 and a half. It's either 14 and a half or 13.8. Apologize, I don't remember. It changed this season, but I believe it's only 13.8 gallons. Either way, it's a shortened tank, and so they can only go so far, and each second costs, each gallon costs you time, costs you, under a second per gallon that you fill up. So if you can save, say, 3 or 4 gallons going into the tank, that is literally 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds time savings on pit road. Now, if you're perfect on your in lap and your out lap and your time in the box and you don't slide your tires and everything, that can actually make a big difference. And for example, right now with Jason Lowe in the front, let's say that he comes into the pits and Straight comes into the pits exactly in this configuration as they're getting ready to put another lap on Howard Livingston, whose damaged machine is a little off base at this moment. Getting a little close though. But so for example, if they came in exactly in this way, now Straight goes to make a pass on Lowe. If there's a 1/2 second gap between them, let's just say they even come in this way, and there's a 1/2 second between them, and Lowe takes 3 less or 4 less gallons at the end of this, and is 2 seconds faster in the pits, that could be enough. If they're perfect otherwise, that could be enough to break the toe back to David Strid when they emerge on the track, because of course Jason Lowe would then overtake David Strid in the pits, and that would be enough to break the toe, and possibly Jason Lowe could win this race by a couple of seconds, because Strid won't be able to catch his draft at that point. So, and then it just comes down to solo laps and who can do the best on their solo laps, as we see David Strid indeed coming in on exactly lap 40. So now at the end of lap 40 going on to lap 41. So now we will watch to see as also James Kennedy pulling it into the pits here, and Will Stearns now on pit road as well. So all these drivers, is this no, we still have Howard Livingston continuing. So but back up to the front, how long will Jason Lowe be able to make it? And will he be able to go an extra few laps this time? We'll see. Last, let's see here. Last lap for Lowe, or last pit lap for Lowe was lap 21. So last time he only went 1 extra lap. And we'll see whether he saved any fuel in this stint to go an extra lap. So if he did exactly the same as the first stint, then we'll expect him in on this lap as he tries to take a little extra draft of the of James Kennedy, who has just come out of the pits and temporarily goes a lap down. Is Jason Lowe going to pit this time by? He does drop Lowe off of 4, and there he is into the pits. So not able to do any extra fuel saving, and it does not appear as though he made that pit entrance. We will watch that in a moment, but Dan Ensch taking over the lead here and doing it with that fuel saving strategy. Now, Dan is not likely to trap anybody, say a lap down or anything, should a caution come out. However, obviously, if a caution were to come out, that might, well, I don't know if that's going to benefit Dan. I think at this point, as we continue on lap 43, 43, Dan had come in last on lap 23. So then we'll expect him in on lap 46. And this is exactly what I'm saying. By going that extra 6 laps, that's, we're getting upwards of a third of a tank that Dan will not have to fuel at the end of this one. So, second place at the moment, Iñigo Mardones, another driver that from the Necky Racing team who has had some ups and downs this season. We've seen him up as high as, you know, in the lead before. Currently running in second with a fuel strategy run here, but on pace, we have seen him up in podium positions, just not really quite ended up there at the end of the race. Possibly today could be his day, but we will find out as we still have over half of this one to go. And so Mardones running in second, and Manuel Gomez-Esteban is now exiting the pits in 7th. And that's great for him. He's up 6 positions today. He's got, he's about 2.6 seconds back from Lovison, Rick Lovison. So we're going to need to see him, you know, possibly be able to gain on Lovison and get that draft in order to stay in this one. And now we've got Dan Ensch making his way onto pit lane. He did put up a pile of smoke there, but I think he got it slowed down in time. And indeed, with Jason Lowe dropping back well in the order, unfortunately, the bad luck bug has struck Lowe's machine again, and he gets a pit speeding penalty. And unfortunately, there's no way to talk your way out of the ticket in iRacing, but nevertheless, you know, cautions are always possible, though we haven't seen one today, which has been great to go green flag this whole way. And other ways that Lowe possibly could catch up. But what this does is actually help out Howard Livingston, who unfortunately got caught in that early incident. And Livingston now running back in 9th. And that's actually where he qualified, so from that standpoint, it's not so terrible, but Gomez-Esteban goes to the inside there, but Livingston able to now just be 1 position behind Lowe, and as he makes his pit entrance here, it's not really in danger of losing a position to Bunyan. Bunyan is 11 laps down. So we can get that gap time back up there. There we go. So you can see the gaps between the drivers. Livingston shown 7 laps down now. So the lead back in the hands of David Strid. And by the way, I did have the voice chat on earlier today during the practice session that was leading up to this race, and I did hear David Strid speak. So he, despite Graham Bunyan's assertions that he does not speak, he does in fact speak, but I only heard him say like 2 words. So maybe a man of not many words, perhaps, and getting all of his action done on the track, executing excellently every week. And honestly, if Graham Bunyan weren't the man that was out there in front and collecting all these race wins, we'd probably be talking a lot more about David Strid. But Strid, you know, Strid wasn't competing all of last season, and it's been interesting to watch because at first, when we started seeing David Strid coming up into the series, or coming up into the league regularly, he would have this very flashy speed. He'd be able to qualify on or near the pole, and sometimes get up and race up in challenge for the lead, etc. But it just seemed like every week he would either make a mistake himself and take himself out of the race, or possibly be taken out. But as of late, he has been executing at a very high level, and once he finally got that first win here in the league, it really did seem like he got the monkey off his back, and now there doesn't seem to be anything holding him back. He's gained a lot of points in the championship, and as I said, despite being 1 race less in this championship, I mean, theoretically, if you look at it in the points now, if he had just done 1 more race this season, there is definitely a chance that he might, especially with the way that things might end up today, and the points that he'll get today over Graham Bunyan, I mean, he could be challenging for that championship. But as it stands, he won't end up challenging for the championship, but he'll most likely take second. I believe there's no chance for Jason Lowe or Howard Livingston to overtake him at this point, so let's just say that he will end up second in the championship, and all that does is bode well for the future. And that's all I'm trying to say is Strid he's shown that he's been fast, but he's made mistakes in the past. Now he's sharpening up his racecraft, and he's really executing well at the tail end of this season. It really looks like next season Graham Bunyan is going to have to start taking his friend and countryman very, very seriously, not just for race wins, but for the championship as well. And so, you know, how does that work out? Well, we've seen you know, teammates in Formula One and IndyCar many times over be challenging each other for that championship at the very end, but ultimately one of them has got to win it. So I think, again, Graham Bunyan just lucky to get away with the fact that Strid not able to actually challenge for the championship here this season. Looking back at second place, though, it's James Kennedy, and fantastic run he's having as well, up 6 spots from where he qualified. This sold-out crowd here in Indianapolis, getting to see this American up in second place at the moment. He's kind of running around by himself back there, 8.7, 8.8 seconds back from David Strid. But now this is quite an interesting development if you're taking note. Of course, with Jason Lowe having the issue that he did and losing essentially 20-some seconds in the pits due to that stop and hold for his speeding penalty, this has put Dan Ensch now up into the podium position, and he's got a very hard-charging Will Stearns just behind, who I think is just absolutely desperate to get a podium position to his name this season. Will has had the ultimate tumultuous season with a lot of valleys and not enough peaks for the amount of racing that Will has done. But Dan also has put in a lot of time, and he just seems to keep walking away with these 5th, 6th, and 7th, and I know that it's not commensurate with his racecraft and his talent level, the number of podiums and wins that he's gotten, not just in this league in the past, but in official racing as well. And so Dan now in place, the Indiana not living in Indiana at the moment, but from Indiana driver. It would obviously mean a lot here at Indianapolis to bring home those extra points. So on board with Dan, as he looks to head down the inside there, I believe, of Mike West. No, I'm sorry, not Mike West. That is, in fact, Graham Bunyan. That's just how far off the pace Graham is at the moment after all that damage. And that also, you know, also points out that it's absolutely imperative, if you're going to challenge for race wins or championships, you've got to keep the car out of the wall. It's not just, although Graham, you know, getting caught up in another driver's incident, it's not been specifically driver-to-driver contact that has taken a lot of these drivers out of the race. It's been, in the championship, it has been self-inflicted mistakes that have cost a lot of these drivers during their races, from spinning out to getting speeding penalties on pit road. That's been a very frequent one early in the season, and we've seen this in previous seasons. Just even getting onto pit road, some drivers have had some really costly mistakes. I mean, I can even think of a race where several drivers, including Graham Bunyan, had to slow down and they were not able to make it safely onto pit road. They had to continue around for another lap, costing them half a lap or upwards of a lap. So, and then there's always with these cars, they're so sensitive. I mean, in some ways, they are a little resilient to some damage, but in other ways, if you just tap that wall, even if it's what they call a 0x contact, which means it doesn't actually give you an incident point, it didn't register enough of a contact, even a little scuff against the wall like that might bend the toe on the car, bend the steering to the point where it's practically undrivable unless you get it fixed. And it will certainly hamper, if you damage any of the wings, the body parts at all, it can certainly hamper the top speed performance on the car, as you see Graham Bunyan drifting back there. So, about 60% through this one, and it's David Strid at the front, with Jason Lowe just barely hanging on to that lead lap after that pit lane miscue. So now James Kennedy, I believe, pulling it into the pits. So on lap 60, again, right on the number, Kennedy pulling it into the pits, and this time we're going to see, I don't think Dan Ensch, he hasn't had a drafting partner, so Dan is not saving much fuel. And this time, in fact, David Strid is going to be able to save a bunch of fuel because Jason Lowe is up in front and he's trying to stay on that lead lap, so he's doing everything he can to stay in front. And Strid, just following behind here, is going to be able to lift through the corners and save a little bit of extra fuel. So, if anything, that will hurt Dan Ensch's bid to possibly win this one on fuel strategy. But he does take over second place, and currently 14 seconds back as Strid now enters the pits. Cut away for exactly the moment when he was doing that. Perfect. David Strid into the pits here for his second pit stop of the day. We'll need to do one more to make it to the end. Looks like Rick Lovison also heading into the pits. Up onto the jacks. Number 48 car goes, and down and released. And as soon as that thing comes down and is released, Strid back on the gas, a quick exit. The fuel man sprays the fuel flap and surrounding area to get some of that ethanol off of the car. So there's no fires, and back underway, Strid goes. As we mentioned, it is Dan Ensch who is on the fuel save strat this time, but it's probably gonna hurt him this stint because, again, he just hasn't had anybody to draft with. So right now you see in the back of this picture Rick Lovison and Graham Bunyan. Of course, that is not a challenge for position. Rick Lovison running down in 8th place, down a lap, but he's already made his second stop. And now Ensch hits on lap 63, so much quicker. He was in on 66 before, and I'm thinking maybe possibly he was doing that for lap times. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that really cut into that average that he had going and on the number of laps he was getting in on a stint. So we'll watch that strategy continue to unfold. And we'll see if we can put the... There's the fuel strategy for you up on the screen as some of the drivers still looking to make their final stops. Here's Iñigo Mardones in the lead. Not for the first time, but it's great to see Spanish driver up there in the lead. All the Spanish fans in the stands to their feet, cheering him on. But he'll be making a stop here momentarily, and you can see his Spanish countryman just behind. That's Manuel Gomez Esteban back there. As we look back from the back of the machine, the Necki Racing machine. Mardones here in the lead, and he's continuing. Now, this is exactly what I thought we would see as Gomez Esteban now pulls it into the pits. So racing for Team Mazinger. We should probably get that updated in our timing and scoring. We have it in our other series, but I don't think we have his team listed. But Esteban racing for Team Mazinger here, and also in the Prime Meridian Racing League, which you can catch on Wednesdays on VirtualRacing.Network. So want to thank all of you who have joined us thus far. Saw somebody drop off. Hope we didn't insult you too much, but I appreciate everybody joining us live here, the YouTube chat room, and rooting on your favorite drivers. You can always give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. Let us know who you're rooting for and who you think's going to win this one today. But David Strid seems pretty unbeatable as Iñigo Mardones now heading out from the pits. And resumes, but you can see Mardones and Esteban going to have the least amount of fuel to put in at the end of this one. So most likely they will be able to pick up a position or two by the end of this, as we see Strid still fighting to, I mean, at this point he's probably not trying to overtake Jason Lowe, but Lowe still fighting to stay on that lead lap. And if a caution were to come out, that would be the biggest help of all to Lowe, to be able to do that. Unfortunately, it's been green since the very beginning. Even with a couple of incidents on the track, it stayed green. So here on lap 69, it is David Strid in the lead with Dan Ensch 16 seconds back, but James Kennedy right on his tail, as is Will Stearns. So this is quite a battle happening here for second place, second, third, fourth, all within a second. And Iñigo Mardones just 4 seconds behind. So take a look at that group. That is Rick Lovison just behind Iñigo Mardones. So we can see from on board here with Rick. Racing for the Berkshire Lakeside Lodge. Trying to fight to possibly stay with Iñigo. Of course, Rick coming in on lap 61 and Iñigo coming in on 66. So they get by the, or actually that is Lovison passing. I thought he was passing someone else. That's Lovison passing Iñigo Mardones there. So that is 4th position. These two now kind of maybe working together as Mardones goes back around, try and draft swap and get their way back forward. So we'll watch and see whether they're able to chip in to Will Stearns, who was 4 seconds ahead and now appears to be falling back a little bit. I'm not sure if he had a moment. Don't see anything in our notes, but Stearns not quite hanging with Ensch and Kennedy. There you can see the gap to Mardones coming down quite substantially, about 0.4 of a second the last couple of laps. looking ahead, it's obvious that as well, Kennedy able to pull out about 0.6 of a second on those couple of laps, so not quite favoring these drivers yet. And there Stern's able to put a little bit of time back in his pocket, but Ensch continues to lead this group for now second place in this race, as Jason Lowe has dropped to the back of this group, and Kennedy has, Kennedy actually fell back a little bit on that pit stop, so not sure what the cause of that was, but he did definitely drop back a little. And so now it's Kennedy and Ensch and Stearns, possibly eventually Mardones and Lovison might join that battle for second place. Now, Strid is actually able to save some fuel running behind Jason Lowe, and currently they're doing pretty darn good lap times, as you would expect. Lowe was a leader here a moment ago, so it's not like Strid is suffering to follow behind. They're doing 41.15s, but Kennedy last time by, he actually did a 41.03, so a little bit faster. Stearns actually has now, last time by was a 43.02, so something going wrong with that machine. Not quite sure what's going on. Might have tapped the wall. That is a frequent issue, as I've mentioned before, that can easily damage your aero. So back up with the leader, David Strid, looking at the back end of the hot pink fuchsia. Not really quite sure what color to call it. I would say it's more on the pinkish side than the purplish side, but the hot pink car of Jason Lowe for today's race. Continuing to put in the laps here as we get down to just 25 to go. Go ahead and bring up some special words from our sponsor, Care Camps, and we'll go side by side so that you don't miss anything at all.
I was diagnosed with ALL leukemia.
I was diagnosed with lymphoma Hodgkin's disease, rhabdomyosarcoma.
I had Burkitt's lymphoma.
I was diagnosed at age 3 with leukemia.
It was hard because I did lose all my hair.
During my chemo, I had a tumor in my shoulder, so we had to take out my shoulder blade.
I was on chemo for 3 or 4 years.
In the hospital for about 4 years.
I relapsed when I was 6.
I've actually had cancer twice.
Of course, you would never think that you're going to be the one to have cancer.
Teens who come here don't have to explain why they look different, why they sound different. They don't have to explain why they don't have hair or an arm. They just can come here and be themselves.
You know, a lot of times when they lose their hair or when they're not feeling well, like they just feel really alone. And so to be able to come to a camp where everybody, no matter what age you are, has gone through the same thing or is going through the same thing is amazing for them.
They've been through a tremendous ordeal, and after a week of not thinking about that, not thinking about their next blood draw, not thinking about their next challenge, but just focusing on the moment and and being in such a special place and surrounded by beauty, I think it does give them an opportunity to recharge their batteries.
Having it be the biggest event that these kids will ever experience, is just a massive, massive gift that we can give them.
The consistent and generous support that we have received from care camps is extremely important in allowing us to make this a cost-free experience for so many people whose lives have been affected by cancer.
We're able to bring all these wonderful kids to camp because of donations.
So, of course, we do definitely encourage you to head on over to carecamps.org and learn more information about what they're up to and all the great ways that they help kids. And then certainly also make your donation today. They obviously, much like VirtualRacing.Network, we only exist off of donations. We don't have large sponsors and, so any bit helps and keeps the organization going and growing. And so definitely carecamps.org. We do, of course, highly salute Howard Livingston for bringing the attention and awareness and doing all those great laps today. So far, already done 70 laps for the kids of carecamps.org. And now while we're here side by side, why don't we go ahead and take a look at this as well. This is the official presenting sponsor of the US IndyCar League. You may have seen the logo many times over, and you may have heard me talk about it a time or two, but it's the StickQuik. And StickQuik is something I've got hanging in my house. I bet you need one in your house if you don't have one already. What it is, it's right there on your screen. It's a little round silicone, heavy duty, chemical resistant silicone, perfect for your shop or even outdoor use. And what it is, it's two pieces really, but the first one is this round piece. You can put it on, as you see there, screwdriver handles, wrench handles. It'll fit on just about anything that's about that size. There's 3 different sizes that come in the package. And then on one side of it, it's magnetic. So basically you can stick it to anything that will accept a magnetic connection. So any sort of steel or any metal like that will accept a magnet, and you can stick anything to anything. How cool is that? Stick something to the underside of your car when you're working on it. Stick something to, your refrigerator, your toolbox in your shop. Either way, head over to StickQuik.com. It's perfect time to buy some for the holidays. You've got those gifts to give to your friends and your family. Give them something they've never heard of or never thought that they could possibly need. And tell them that it's for a good thing, which is to help support the US IndyCar League. Because StickQuik and Mr. Rick Kelbaugh, I'm going to be straight up and honest, they front up a lot of the money to make these broadcasts happen and for the US IndyCar League to operate. So if you want to say thank you to them as well, hey, buy a couple of packs of the StickQuik. Head over to StickQuik.com. Get yours today. 6 different colors available. And of course, we do appreciate their support all season long. Absolutely fantastic. We'll get the audio back up here for you as we now resume coverage with 17 laps to go. It's stuff I like to do. I like to do those breaks during yellow flags, but what can I say? Sometimes they happen in this series and sometimes they don't. As we see with 17 to go, it's Iñigo Mardones out in front, yet to make his final and 4th stop. And also at the bottom of the screen, you do see our donators. We do thank them tremendously, especially if he's watching Fred Greenfield, though he's probably watching the Formula One race, or it's finishing up right now. But appreciate his contribution and all the members of Three Crown Racing, and of course the US IndyCar League for their great donation. Comprises several of the members of the US IndyCar League who make up that donation to be able to keep us going and covering the US IndyCar League each season since the end of season 10. So Manuel Gomez Esteban now for Team Mazinger, pulling it in from second place. He's having a fantastic run, racing with Super Mango sponsorship. That's a grocery store chain there in that part of Spain, and very colorful logo, right? Like we have, like in my part of the world, we've got some other boring logo supermarkets, but they've got like this gradient multicolor logo over in Spain. Anyway, Iñigo Mardones here for Necky Racing Team, still in the lead for a second, but now as he crosses start-finish stripe is going to start falling down the order as David Strid now puts in the fastest lap of the race, so taking away the opportunity for Jason Lowe or Howard Livingston at the moment to have that, unless they can get it somehow at the very end of this race. But Strid with a 40.65, and you see that he's still working on the backside of Jason Lowe after their pit stops to try to put Lowe a lap down, but Lowe won't have it. He's still fighting out there to keep that lead lap, and of course if we do get a caution, I mean, it's anyone's game again. It's absolutely anyone's game. In the meantime, 21 seconds back, it's Mr. Fuel Save himself, Dan Ensch. He didn't get as much mileage out of the last stint as you might have thought going into this one, and ending up coming in on lap 82. But it won't matter, as he has really made a lot of progress and managed to separate himself from Iñigo Mardones, who now finds himself in third after that round of pit stops. And just as I say that, he's battling with Rick Lovison. So we actually have a battle for position, and it's for that podium position on the track. Lovison has made his final pit stop along with Iñigo Mardones. So this is a legit battle for third place and the final podium spot today. And you just know that Rick has had a podium here, but Iñigo Mardones has not. And you just know both of these drivers are absolutely looking to get that podium and finish this season up on a high note. So Mardones now trying to work on Graham Bunyan. Dives to the inside, takes that position. So Bunyan hanging to the outside, letting everybody get through. We appreciate Bunyan continuing, though. Really, he didn't have to today. He's just getting in the laps and I guess, you know, adding to that total of number of miles driven. Let's see here. Before the race, see if I can do a little bit of digging here for a second. We're focused on Mardones and Lovison, who are still engaged in this battle. So looking a little bit deeper, in fact, if you had to count who's done the most miles, here's an interesting statistic. This is the drivers who have completed the most laps on the track. It's actually Howard Livingston with over 2,000 miles completed this season. Second place, you wouldn't guess it, but it's actually Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh, who completed 1,958. Rick Lovison in third place with 1,945, and then fourth place would be Graham Bunyan with 1,899. And again, that's just coming into the race. So interesting, those statistics. They don't quite match up with the number of laps, which is interesting because I guess at different tracks they're different lengths. But yeah, I guess Bunyan just likes racing. I mean, you know, he's like, honestly, he does a lot. He did a lot and does occasionally do some official racing, Graham Bunyan. But the thing that you basically come to find out when you do a lot of official racing is that you know, you get taken out of a lot of races. I mean, it happens. You are trying hard and they're trying hard and make contact. And, you know, if you do make contact on lap 2, are you just going to stop? Well, if you're in an official race, your I rating will drop. And if you've made contact and you racked up incidents, then your safety rating will drop. So basically, I mean, frankly, you just get used to going out there and running around the track if you can. Pretty much that simple. Just go out and keep doing laps, because why not? You're already in it. Might as well go out and have some more fun. And there's always a chance that you finish well. Like, for example, Bunyan, despite having that incident, he kept the car on the track. There's always a chance that someone else might crash out, so you could always pick up an additional position. So, you know, why not, I guess is the thing I'm trying to say. Why not stay out there and just have some fun and finish up this season as well as you can? Well, it's David Strid who's in the lead. He's executed flawlessly thus far, and the only reason why Jason Lowe, who's in front of him right now, is in that position but is being threatened with going a lap down instead of challenging for the lead is because Lowe had a pit speed entry penalty, and so he had to serve an extra time penalty on pit road. And so the rest of this race, he has been just trying to stay ahead of David Strid and hope for a caution. Does not look like that caution is going to come his way, and so David Strid has basically had this race in the bag since that moment. And we look back, it's a long ways back. It's 22 seconds back to Dan Ensch, half a lap, but Ensch back there with Rick Lovison now just under 5 seconds back from Ensch, as Ensch now makes his way around Howard Livingston for the final time today. But Lovison just barely hanging on to that podium spot, and Ensch with some good fuel saving early on that got him an extra couple of seconds, and as a result he's been able to hold on to that second position. So great day, it looks like, so far for Ensch. Now here in third, this is our final battle that's happening on the track at the moment. Everyone else kind of separated out by at least a couple of seconds. Rick Lovison just hanging on to third place with Iñigo Mardones, and just 4 laps to go here at the Care Camps 250. This one has just flown by. An hour and 18 minutes, just under an hour and 18 minutes, or hour, whatever it is, hour and 10 minutes or something after qualifying for this race. Oh, I'm sorry, actually I do have it there, an hour and 8 minutes, but I don't know if that includes, I'm not sure if that includes the pace lap, but nevertheless, 100 laps in just an hour and 8 minutes at the Speedway could only happen through green flag racing. And James Kennedy, did he take the fastest lap? No, he did not, but he was fastest through sector 1. He might take the fastest lap this lap, but we'll see, as he's now coming up to the backside of Will Stearns. So this battle happening now for 7th place, and indeed, no, did he take the, no, he did not take the fastest lap, apologize. He lost a little bit in sector 2, and that was really the only issue. Otherwise, he had the fastest first sector last lap. So just 2 laps to go here, and it does appear as though Lowe has finally accepted going a lap down, and Strid has managed to put himself up back into that lead on the track, as well as in the timing and scoring. And he'll look to finish this one up. Dan Ensch running a solid 2nd place. Can he keep the alls.org machine on the track? And we'll continue to watch this battle going on here with Rick Lovison and Iñigo Mardones. Both of these drivers would just, I mean, you could just sense how eager they are to get this podium position and possibly end up doing an interview afterwards. I don't know if we'll get Iñigo, because he hasn't been dropping in for the interviews, but maybe we will. anyway. Rick Lovison hanging on as we're now on the final lap for David Strid. Heading down the backstretch one final time. Jason Lowe had made a pass to get up there in the front. Lowe just showing that he could make that pass if he had had the opportunity, but one simple mistake, just one little mistake costing him in here today, and Lowe tried to make it possibly a 2-wide finish, but it won't be anywhere near enough as David Strid executes brilliantly today and comes home in first here at the Care Camps 250. Dan Ensch now with alls.org on that car, looking to bring it home in second place, and he will do so, officially getting second. And we look down the track, it's Rick Lovison who's managed to get by Iñigo Mardones and stay in front for that final podium position. And that is how the top three will finish for this final race of season 12. As Mardones pulls off the track. Manuel Gomez Esteban also with a fantastic 5th place here today for Team Mazinger, looking absolutely fantastic all race long. And we go and take a look at David Strid doing some donuts here on the front straightaway. Oh! Oh my goodness, and unfortunately, having some difficulty there. Destroying that car in the process. Oh my goodness, not quite the donuts. So if there's something else to work on that maybe David and Graham can work on together, that might be one of them. But there's not much that Graham has left to teach this driver right here. David Strid has absolutely changed from being a driver that could possibly challenge to being a driver that is now in the championship hunt, and certainly somebody that you cannot count out going into season 13. As he just carves up that car, and I'm not sure who else. It's a Graham Bunyan. There he is celebrating his championship run. These drivers, as Bunyan now taking the championship and filling the front straightaway with ridiculous amount of smoke. Absolutely beautiful stuff here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and he'll continue on. Graham will around the track. Awesome stuff here today. I hope you really enjoyed it out there. Let's take a look at the final results on your screen. As we said, it is David Strid there in first place. Congratulations. Yet another win this season. Dan Ensch stacking it up with a second place. And we'll see if we can get into the autograph circle and possibly get a chance to talk to a couple of these drivers here. First, though, I tell you what, the first driver I would like to welcome to the broadcast here today is Howard Livingston, who was racing for the Care Camps organization. He's been doing it for a couple of seasons long. And, of course, we had a great special race here today. Hey, Howard, can you hear me over there on your side of the booth? And don't quite have Howard yet. Let's see. Hey, Howard, can you hear me? Nope. Might be taking a bio break after that one. Not sure, but hey, Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
And there's Dan Ensch. Hey, Dan Ensch. Look at that. Second place here at Indy. How awesome is that? Congratulations.
Well, thanks that it's not first. Boy, David was an animal today. Just nobody was going to touch him. And wow, what a great race he ran. Got to give him props on that. want to thank Howard and Care Camps for putting this on for us today, too. I'll be sending my donation here shortly, and I hope everybody else does, too.
Absolutely. And Care Camps is what today is definitely all about. And we played, of course, a special message just as we did during the Alzheimer's Association race, but bringing a lot of awareness to that great group that helps all the kids and their families. And we'll hope to hear from Howard here in a minute more about that. But still, we've been talking about it all season, Dan, and you've been looking to get up onto that podium. And
Trevor, can you hear me?
I can finally hear you. I got you now. Thanks, Howard. We'll get back to you in just 1 second. Let me go ahead and finish up with Dan here. Hey, Dan, so at the Speedway, to be able to do this at Indy, I mean, yes, it's not a win, but you still got the alls.org machine, and all the fans got a chance to see it here, you running in second place. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, we had a good race today. I stayed out to claim a point like I normally do on the first stint, but I only came in, 4.5 seconds behind the leaders when I did that. And yeah, we can hear you, Howard. Anyway, I was only 4.5 seconds behind the leader on the end of the first stint, which was perfect. That's right where I wanted to be. And then from there on in, I was running flat out, and David just flat ran away from us. So I don't know what kind of squirrels he's got in his cage under that bonnet, but boy, they were running fast today. And I'll take a second at Indy anytime. I love Indy, and that was a lot of fun today.
Well, and watching along, of course, you're the fuel saving master, and you were going longer than everyone else. As you said, you got the point for leading a lap, but it looked like you were continuing on that strategy, and we were trying to see if it would pan out for you, but it seemed like after that first stint, you didn't really have a good drafting partner. And what happened was Jason Lowe, who was challenging with Strid for the lead, had a speeding penalty, and he came out right at the tail end of the lead lap. And so Strid was actually given the free gift of a very fast drafting partner, and unfortunately you didn't get that. So he kept moving away from you a little bit, but the real issue is that you weren't able to keep the drafting partner, and therefore your stints kept getting less and less and less towards the end. I was waiting to see, it was possible maybe you might be able to save upwards of a half a tank of fuel, and that might have been interesting to see you be able to save a few seconds on pit road. But sadly, the cards didn't quite work out in that favor for you, nor did you get a caution to help you get caught up to the leader either.
No, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. But I can't complain about a second place. I think my strategy was pretty solid. Got some good challenges along the way from a couple of guys. But all in all, it was a good, solid run. It's just like you say, David might have caught a little bit more draft. He might have pitted a little bit faster than anybody, but he ran a perfect race. Got to give him credit. It was awesome.
Absolutely. And now, if we look at the points, and we'll try to get the official points at the end of this, David Zaleski not racing with us, but he compiles the points, so we'll see if he posts that. He usually does right after the race. But you were so close with Rick Lovison coming into this for 5th place. Rick was just 2 points ahead. So with the extra point that you got for leading a lap, and I don't think Rick actually managed to lead a lap, and then also finishing in second where Rick finishes in third, it's very possible you just got that top 5 in the championship by the skin of your teeth. But it's still top 5 is still top 5 in the championship, and after a difficult season, I'm sure you'll probably take that.
Oh yeah, that'd be very nice. And of course, that's not figuring in possible drop weeks and stuff. I don't have a drop week to figure in. It's already figured in because I missed the first race of the season. So I don't know what Rick's situation is on that, or anybody else in the top 5 for that matter. That might have something to do with it. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
All I know is Graham is a great champion, and boy, you can't say enough about what a job he did this year to earn that championship.
Absolutely. Any more shout outs or anything to say before we move on?
Well, thanks as always to Spark for helping to sponsor this team. And also als.org. I want everybody to be sure and check that out and see what you can do to help Alzheimer's. It's a very personal thing for me, obviously. And I'm going to go get a nap because I am beat.
Well, you deserve it. It was a hard-fought race, and you made your way up to second. Looked like the Dan Ensch of old up there on the podium. So looking good going into season 13. And, of course, we wish you the best of luck for that. And have a pleasant nap and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And happy early Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Trevor. Great job all year.
Thanks, bud. So that's Dan Ensch joining us, getting second place for the first time this season. Not quite the win that he wanted, but very, very close. And so now we'll get a chance, now that we heard that he is live and available. It's Howard Livingston. Hey, Howard, can you hear me now? Hey, Howard. We heard you before, bud. We're not hearing you now, though. But yes, we could hear you before when you were checking in. We'll wait for him. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna wait. But in the meantime, why don't we get a chance to talk with our series champion, then we'll come back to Howard when he comes back on. Hey, Graham, can you hear me?
Hey, maybe there's two mutes in the league. Maybe Howard's turned into a mute and David Strid's a mute.
Now, I talked about that in the broadcast, Mr. Champion, and I accidentally had voice chat turned on in the practice, and so I disagree. Mr. Strid is not a mute, but he only said about 2 words, and that was literally the only thing that he said all practice session. So he's a man of few words at least. But nevertheless, no, Howard, I don't know, he's having some sort of a connection issue. Nevertheless, Graham, what the heck? You got caught up in an incident today. That's not like you. I know it was somebody. I know it's somebody else who caught you up in the incident, but nevertheless, your spidey senses didn't keep you out of it. But you didn't have to do anything. You still got the championship, and that's awesome. And you still completed a bunch of laps. So great job, man.
Yeah, cheers. Now, look, I didn't even expect that. I just sticking to myself on the outside. I had no reason to be racing up the front. I just wanted to stick on the outside there and let the guys just go on by. And then, yeah, car down low just comes straight up, and I had nowhere to go. That was it. It was done and toasted. So I went off. I went upstairs, grabbed a drink, done a few things, and I actually sat in the pits and waited for the car to repair to see if it would repair. And my right hand wheel was faced all the way left, and my left wheel was facing straight. And I thought, well, my race is done. So I went away, did what I did, come back, and lo and behold, the guys who were eating the McDonald's burgers and Hungry Jacks and everything else, they fixed the right hand side wheel. I don't know.
Well, that's why you pay the big bucks to your crack pit crew there as part of your team. They got you.
They're all sacked.
Yeah, well, it's the end of the season. It's time for some changes, but they got you the championship, and that's what it's all about, right? Talk about that a little bit. How did your season go? Of course, you came into this taking the championship crown from Jason Lowe after he won it 3 years running, or 3 seasons running. But how did the season play out for you? You faced a little bit of adversity early on, but then you managed to make it all work out.
Yeah, look, it started off terrible, and then, sort of after that mid-season, had some good runs there throughout the mid-season, and sort of got tied up in a couple of little things again towards the end. So, I made up all the points where I needed to make them up, and just it was more or less just survival until I made those points and secured the championship. But yeah, it was up and down, that's for sure.
Well, and then here at the end, it looked like your fellow countryman David Strid did manage to execute very well, taking a couple of victories and really cleaning up some of those mistakes that had cost him some of his championship aspirations during the season. But you facing a little bit of adversity in a few of the races at the end. If Strid had done maybe a little bit more, just do one more race this season, he might have had a chance to actually challenge you for that championship. Going into season 13, though, I mean, I know that's still a long ways off and you get to celebrate season 12, but looking at it, I don't think you can afford to maybe take Strid quite so lightly on these race wins, because in the end, it might actually end up in a championship battle at the end of next season.
Oh, for sure, for sure. You know, Dave had a few mishaps on a couple of pit entries, which cost him a couple of races. And I think you're right. You know, if that hadn't have happened, it would have been down to the wire today, for sure. But yeah, it's definitely next season is definitely one to watch out for, and he's definitely right there on my heels. So I've got to up my game a bit now.
Indeed, got to up your game and figure out how to how to do that, because it seems like you and David straight have taught each other about all the tricks that there are. But we'll see if you got any more up your sleeve next season. In the meantime, looking back at this season, anything special that you can say was a defining point for you this season? Was there a particular race that you felt that you executed at the top of your game and was your benchmark, or was there a particular moment that you said, yeah, I've got this thing in hand, I don't think I'm going to be facing a real challenge at the end of this, I think I can win this one?
Gee, look, I can't even remember what happened yesterday. I go from week to week. Look, I think after not last weekend, the weekend before, I knew that everything should be pretty fine, because I was coming into a weekend where I should have and could have done well, and I did. Look, the whole thing, even with the downs, was great all round. You know, it's just it's what I like doing. I love racing. If I can't finish up the front, I just want to drive that car across the line. I don't want to be parked up in the pit and not actually finish. Nothing frustrates me more than not actually finishing the race.
Yeah, exactly. And now this is 2 championships that you've run, or that you've won, and you know, you seem to have that kind of level of integrity where I was talking about during the race, there's not really a reason for you to keep running. You didn't need to. There's, doing more laps, maybe you gain a position and get a couple more points, but you already had the championship locked up. But that kind of level of integrity of showing up every single week, racing hard, putting your best foot forward, and being able to take pole position many times, being able to qualify well and race at the top end of your game, that is the type of game that you bring every single week, and completing the most amount of laps almost as a matter of pride doesn't seem that far-fetched when you start looking at it in the bigger picture. So, hey, Graham, what a fantastic season for you again here in season 12. An amazing chance to watch you race with fixed setups and still be able to dominate pretty much everybody in the field. What do we have to look forward to in season 13 for you? Is there any more game that you can step up? Do you think there are areas of your game that you can improve next season?
There's always room for improvement. It's just a matter of, fine tuning everything and just getting the right setup in the car when you're in that car. Because as you know, we all run the same setup. It's a fixed setup, and it's what you do in that car to make that car fast. So, there's a few little tricks I know, and I mean, most of the other guys, and especially David, knows all the little tricks as well. So I just need to pick my game up on that side of things, and I think I still should be okay. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be a fight all the way through the season. I'm not going to have it easy.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. Not the way that you would want this final race to end up, but it was great to see you do the donuts at the end and celebrate. And obviously, congratulations to you, as well as if you can impart our congratulations to David Strid, not just in this race, but I would say he's had a great improvement towards the end of this season, and it's just excellent to see another competitor starting to reach the strata where it seemed like only Graham Bunyan can achieve. Congrats, 2 seasons running, series champion of the US IndyCar League here in season 12. Great job.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. I just want to thank StickQuik and all the guys who turn up week in, week out, and all the other sponsors along the way as well. Congrats to Dave on his second. Who actually come third in the whole overall? I can't even.
Now I just was able to pull up the points, and it's official. Thank you, David Zaleski, for updating that. Howard Livingston did get third in the points by 3 points over Jason Lowe. So
beautiful. Well, congrats to the muted Howard Livingston. I don't know what he's going to do on a professional term now. Like he's a singer, so I don't know how he's going to get along and go now, being a mute.
Well, I mean, Howard, he's gone. Howard's gone away. He may have to get off to another gig. He's very busy now that COVID has ended. But yeah, I mean, hey, let's just say a word of thanks. Obviously, I'm sad that we don't have Jason Lowe to talk to here at the end of this, so we'll cover the end of this for him. But thanks to StickQuik, Rick Kelbaugh and the StickQuik family, great sponsors here in the league, supporting it season in, season out, and of course, Rick, a great racer here, and then Graham, you and your friends bring a lot as well, bringing the Maddie Simpson, yourself, David Strid, of course your teammates, as well as Ryan Bowles. Who am I leaving? Oh, Mike West, all associated with the Graham Bunyan show now. And I'm just saying, there's a lot of people to thank, and we see all of these great regular competitors as part of the US IndyCar League. Jason Lowe, of course, been doing this for a lot of seasons now. Dan Ensch, etc. So many great competitors, and just thanks for your part, Graham. You bring a lot of friends, and you bring a lot of level of competition, but also just the level of professionalism and capability that all of you bring. It really adds to the wealth here of the US IndyCar League, and it's been great for 12 seasons, and we're hoping for another great one next season.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I reckon this is the time now to definitely watch this space. I think it's going to be on next season, and I don't think it's just going to be between two. I think it's going to be between at least 4 or 5. So it's going to be there, and it's going to be watch this space.
Watch this space indeed, and also watch for Graham Bunyan, still involved in the Logitech G Challenge, and more to come on that as well, and stay tuned as that gets into its final running. You were saying, let's see, give me the final rundown on when your timelines are. It's like the end of this month, and then
yeah, so we got one race, is it this weekend or the weekend after, which is I don't have to compete in, but I love driving, so of course I'm going to compete in it. It's at Daytona. And then it's off to the semi-finals. There's been a little bit of a change in the Logitech G Challenge now, and just thanks to COVID, it's sort of changed a few of the things. So there's no traveling to Las Vegas now in the finals. Yeah, so they've cut that back, and they've increased the prize pool. So I think it's like the top 10 get something out of it in each area around the world. So, and then I think there's 12 grand prizes, which is the trip to Europe to be with the McLaren team. So yeah, so things have changed there, but no, it's all good. It is what it is. So yeah, so grand finals in January, semi-finals in December.
Okay. So stay tuned and tune in to the Logitech G Challenge. Graham Bunyan up for that one. That would be a huge one for the US IndyCar League to champion to take home and add to his roster of or to his trophy case for certain. But make sure you get a couple of shout outs for US IndyCar League when you're doing your interviews over there, would you?
Yeah, for sure. I'll try and chuck something in there.
Appreciate that, Graham. Great to have you on as always. And again, enjoy the champagne and the next couple of weeks until we get set for season 13. Okay, bud?
For sure, mate. Thank you very much, and thanks for everything you've done. And again, thanks to StickQuik and everybody else that joins week in, week out.
You betcha. Graham Bunyan, your season champion here in the US IndyCar League, 2 seasons running. He stole the crown from Jason Lowe, who had it for 3 seasons running. Who will be next season's champion? Well, why don't we go ahead and bring over Jason Lowe to talk to us for a second, since he's now popped into the commentary booth here. And hey, Jason, I watched today's race along with everyone else, and you were in a winning car, although it was hot pink today. We're used to the blue. You were in a race winning car. Unfortunately, you ended up at the wrong end of the lead lap. Now, just one little mistake taking you out of the race win, but it still must have felt really, really good to be up there fighting for the win here at Indy.
Yeah, it was a fun day. quite honestly, my foot slipped off the brake pedal going into the pits, and when I got back on the brakes, I locked up and slid, and I was lucky I didn't wreck. It was not so much a mental mistake as my foot just slipped. Maybe need some new grip tape on my pedals or whatnot. But
oh boy.
Yeah, I had pace with David. We didn't have any trouble. I mean, Graham would have been right there had he not been wrecked out early. There would a couple other guys would have been right there too. But it was kind of just me and David at first. Even after I got the speeding penalty, it just cycled around where him and I were still running together. It was fun. I was really surprised. I took pole position. I'm the only guy this season who's had a pole besides Graham or David. So that made me feel real good because I'm not really known as a good qualifier. So that was a high point for the morning. Sorry, weren't in contention for the win, but congratulations to series champion Graham, David Strid, second place, and congratulations to Howard Livingston for getting third in the championship.
Absolutely, third in the championship. And of course, we also got a chance to see some great racing today from some competitors that we don't normally see up there, with a couple of incidents that did happen. Dan Ensch managed to snag a second, and now Strid, who wasn't winning races to start the season but showed flashes of brilliance, he's been able to pull some wins out, and now he's looking very competitive for a series championship. Rick Lovison, series regular, able to take third here. Iñigo Mardones having a great day. Manuel Gomez Esteban coming up and getting a fifth place. So some great runs here for some of the season regulars. Now going into season 13, what does anybody need to do to get in contact with you and make it happen so they can get out there on the track? And how many thousands of dollars do you charge for entry fees again?
It is a whopping nothing for an entry fee. We don't charge any fees in the league. You just have to have a respectable I rating, a respectable safety rating. We'd like to see some IndyCar runs on your official race list. Have had a few people apply that have never run an IndyCar race, and I just have to send them a little PM saying, run a few races, and then we'll let you try out with us. But we had 25 different drivers race with us this season, a respectable amount. We'd like to get the number higher. We really had about 10 people run every race or so. Like to see that number get a little bit better. Having you broadcast has certainly brought us new interest from people, and I appreciate that. I think you do a fantastic job, and the US IndyCar League is really happy to be partnered with you, as well as StickQuik.
Absolutely. StickQuik, ongoing season presenting sponsor, and, of course, we love doing the coverage here at VirtualRacing.Network. Gets us up nice and early, and it's always a fun thing to do here on Sunday mornings. And so glad to be with you guys and doing all of this coverage. And if anybody ever missed any of the races, they're all archived here on the YouTube channel. So the link is in the description for everybody to click through and head on over. And so, Jason, anything to tell us about season 13 before we head off into the between seasons time?
Nothing really comes to mind other than we're going to have a lot of fun. The setups, Howard brought us a setup this week that was just dynamite. We've had some really good builds on the new tire, and I think we have a really good bunch of guys, a bunch of special guys, and I appreciate all of them, and that's all I can say.
Well, there you go. The admin having lots of positive outlook towards next season. It's going to be a lot more fun. A lot of the same stuff, but also some new races in there as well. I know they're still deciding exactly what's going to go into next season. Some talk about potential fast repairs, whether we should do it or not, whether we should flip a coin for it or not. Lots of different things being decided behind the scenes. But in addition, a lot of drivers that are competitors in the series also help out with Jason Lowe. Of course, we've got Howard Livingston being a strong participant in it. Dan Ensch always being there on Saturdays to try to work out the setups. David Strid contributing a lot to the setups. Richard Kelbaugh, David Zaleski processing the points, etc. So lots of people contributing. And hey, Jason, it's been awesome to be with you here in season 12. We'll look forward to season 13, just a couple of weeks away. So that was Jason Lowe who joined me in the commentary booth. It's been a fantastic season 12. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go back and watch the rest of them. And of course, stay tuned for the rest of the PMRL season 2 and the iRacing NTT IndyCar season series fixed here on that's PMRL on Wednesdays and the fixed series on Thursdays here on VirtualRacing.Network. And so that'll bring our season to a close. Hope you've enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you next season on VirtualRacing.Network. On behalf of all the competitors, StickQuik, and the Care Camps organization, it's been Trevor Greenfield here on VirtualRacing.Network. Until next season, bye-bye, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving.